Hi, everybody. We're talking about attention, right? And you've been sitting for a long time. So I'm going to see if I can switch the mood a little bit and have a little more fun with you. So I'm going to start off by clarifying, Cesar, you were wrong. As educators, we do understand that 90% of the population with our students do not have ADHD. And we know they're not taking Ritalin. You got that completely backwards. 90% of teachers develop ADHD. And 100% of them would like a Prozac dispensary in the lounge. I'm just being straight with you. We got going about this last night. So, but I mean, when they tell me that I'm going to be a part of this, and I'm glad to be here and talk, and then they see who's on the panel, and I start going through it, and I have to follow Mickey. I see that, and I'm just like, oh crap. Here we go. I got to follow a legend, right? Someone who is a voice, a visionary in all this, and it's a pleasure, to do so. But it's affirming when I get to see what she's thinking about, and I see it on our slides, and I get to see in my mind like, ooh, I was thinking about that. That's pretty cool. So my name's Richard Henderson. I am the Director of Special Populations for iSucceed Virtual Schools in Idaho. So what does that mean? Everything and anything that's not in general education comes to me. And you know that other duties as assigned portion of your contract, my boss takes that and runs. She's like, you can do homeless, right? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, okay, you're doing that now. Today, you're starting right now. For me, a little bit about my background, I'm a practitioner. Like most educators, I started in the classroom. I was a middle school and high school teacher, then became a principal, became a director of special education at the district level, then moved on to be a regional coordinator, overseeing special education for the state, at the same time teaching undergrad and graduate school for behavior, ironically, in their education program. From there, went on to be a state director of special education, also a 504 coordinator for the state, and then had some national opportunities go from there. So serving on several committees with OSEP, OSERS, and a few others. From there, went on to be a national director and support programs for special needs in 3 different countries. So I think for me, the exciting portion of all of this is the evolution of where this is going as being a practitioner, as being a professional educator. And I spend a lot of my time in the space between brick and mortar and virtual. And so what really excites me about some of this is this idea that we're opening up the possibilities to both. So whether you're brick and mortar, blended, or straight virtual, this has promise. Okay, this is in a place where I feel like just as being instructional practitioners, it starts to make sense. So for me, as I was thinking about this and beginning to break it down, it really got back to this idea of where are we going? What is our job as educators? What is the why, right? And we tend to think a lot about our work as K-12. I completely disagree with that. Okay, I think we're 12Ks. Our job is not to graduate kindergartners. Our job is to graduate seniors. So the system has to be flipped. And we have to think about how do we begin to align things in such a way that makes sense. Because in special education in particular, right, I'm going to say an indicator 14, which makes us accountable for what these kids are doing 1 year after they leave us. Very unique. No other structure, no other system has that level of accountability. We do. Okay? So we have to be thinking about not these students just as students. We have to be thinking about their lifelong process. Where are they going to go? And what's going to be enjoyable for them? What's going to make them feel like they are going to be able to contribute to society, whether that's job, school, or otherwise, right? And then going from there, I mean, this relationship between attention and learning. We spent a lot of time in the education profession getting into this and kind of guessing. I mean, I can appreciate what Cesar's talking about, where he says, okay, I see a student in my clinic, I go through the thing and say, okay, yes, this is what's going on. And then the teachers write back and say, great, tell me what to do. And he goes, I'm a doctor, I'm just doing this part. And we're like, no, really? Tell us what to do. And because it's a guess, right? And that's pretty common in the 504 and special needs world. We do a lot of assessments. We do a lot of informing. And we get to the end of it, and what do we typically say, right? Guess what, Mom, Dad? You were right. There's a problem. And we're still at the same place we started. Now what? We've got to figure that part out. And then finally, this research to practice piece, that we're able to take what's happening now, whether it's in any environment, any modality, and getting to a place where we're able to say, okay, in the same way that we had a revolution in reading, in the same way that we had a revolution in math, it's time to push forward and have a revolution in attention and take that mystery out of it and to become informed practitioners to be strength-based forward with our students. So for me, this is really about coming full circle as a practitioner, okay, and getting to a place where we're effective and efficient. We don't have a lot of time as teachers, right? We number our contracts, right? We have a 181-day contract, whatever the case may be, right? So you get in all the breaks, all the snow days, whatever the case may be, and there's just not a lot there, right? So we have to become efficient and use the tools available to us, be able to help us design our supports for these kids. And I'll back this up too, because we've been talking a lot about ADHD, right? I'm gonna get rid of that completely, because I think we can really talk about the application of this to a whole host of kids that have anything to do with processing. And if you're a state who has some sort of RTI mechanism into your SLD identification, that just piqued your interest, because that's real. That's in the law, to have to figure out how processing connects to the academic area of need, right? Okay, so whole host. So for me, it makes me start thinking about targeted support across tiers, right? So I want to get to a place where I see this application of understanding of attention going from just this place of like being a little too personal just to being a screener. How impactful would that be? We have reading screeners. We have math screeners. Why can't I have an attention screener? It just informs me. I'm no longer to sit down with Cesar and go, okay, I'm going to do what I think is right and give you a 20-minute lesson and make you go through it. When if I could have something in the front that says, yeah, every 7 minutes he needs a break. That's powerful. Because you're not fighting, you're not exhausting, you're actually matching rhythm. Okay, impact and intervention decision rules, right? As you're moving up tiers, as you're moving down tiers, right? Seeing that ability to produce. I mean, the outcome is the outcome, but the methodology to the outcome does matter. In that same way of understanding that if my attention cycle is this, or if I'm at a particular age and this is the way this presents, right? There's discussion there, and that helps me. As a practitioner, that helps me. Informed database decisions, strength-based approach, kind of the same idea, right? So taking the guesswork out of it. If I have something in front of me that helps me put all these academic interventions together in such a way that maps to the kid correctly, could I actually be in a position to prevent the problem from getting worse? Isn't that kind of what we do? We have a joke in special education, right? Our job is to put ourselves out of a job. Right? But it's true, right? Our goal is to help them make progress enough that they can stand on their own. Okay? I don't want them to need me. I mean, I like them. I'm a great guy. But I don't want them to need that. That's not successful in life. We already know the outcome data, right? The more time they spend in gen ed, the better the long-term outcomes for their life, not as a student, for their life. And then the entire curve of supports. So as I was thinking about this and the application of attention, I mean, as a practitioner, as a special educator, I mean, I do typically, reside in the 3 to 5% of the population. But there's a whole other side of kids, twice exceptional, the gifted side. Wouldn't this be powerful for them too? So we're in a place where we're beginning to think about, how can I help my entire student population and help them progress forward? So with that, I've clarified this with Cesar. I'm glad you're straight now. And then I was at a conference when Mickey called herself the OG. Did anyone else have Snoop Dogg go through their mind right there? I did. So, all right. with that, Yaki, I'll hand it back to you.